Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a terrible game that has us killing an evil Justice League, but we've already had plenty of evil Justice Leagues, like in the way better game series Injustice, where we have a Superman who has succeeded in conquering Earth and even drove Batman to almost giving up all hope. So that got me thinking, could Injustice Superman kill the Arkham Justice League? And if not, then how far can he realistically get? Well, that's what I'm here to discuss in this theory analysis video, but before we begin, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and comment if you enjoy your thoughts. And now, let's go ahead and dive right into the video. But before we do, of course we have to cover the setup. So, let's go ahead and establish at what point do we put Injustice Superman in and lay down some ground rules. So let's start off with when in the game is our lovable regime leader getting put into the Arkham-Verse. And for me, that's right after Batman captures Flash, and this time the Suicide Squad is killed by Batman, and Amanda Waller is killed and taken out by Brainiac's forces. Now, Injustice Superman is teleported here after the events of Injustice 2, so he's familiar with Brainiac, but not one of this level. Now, let's go over the rules of this scenario. Injustice Superman will have to battle through each corrupted League member and will not have any help at all, so he won't have any access to any of the League's weaknesses such as Speed Force Dampeners, Sinestro Core Batteries, or changing the Fear Toxin formula. He also won't have access to any upgrades whatsoever, and he only has his powers and skills that he has in the games and the Injustice comics covering years 1 through 5 and potentially Ground Zero. And he won't have anything from any of the endings, so he doesn't have the Brainiac tech either. Now, with all this out of the way, let's go ahead and begin with our first opponent. Green Lantern is the first fight in this timeline order of events, since as soon as Lantern even tries to bind Injustice Superman, the fight would be on. Now, this is extremely unlucky for John here, as Injustice Superman is no stranger to fighting against Lanterns, both green and yellow, and in much greater numbers than a singular Lantern, having fought off almost the entire Green Lantern Corps, including Moto the Living Planet, taking blasts from there, which should have theoretically killed Kal-El. And he's even strong enough to pull the ring from their fingers, stripping them of their power against their will. And we see Kal in Injustice 2 crush Hal's hand, preventing him from using his ring. So alternatively, he could do that as well, and he's strong enough to break through their constructs, as we've seen in the first game and the second one, and can tank their attacks fairly decent. So in my opinion, Injustice Superman either breaks through GL's constructs and brutally beats him to death the way of Green Arrow, or he could use his heat vision and blast through his brain the way of Shazam, or he just rips his arm off that his ring is on the way of Guy Gardner, or just rips his finger off and lets him splatter against the pavement. Either way, this is an easy victory for Injustice Supes, but can it continue? Now we get to Flash, who is a complete joke compared to his Injustice counterpart, who is durable enough to survive having Doomsday, who fell to Earth from orbit, land on him and only had a few broken bones. But the only thing is that Arkham Flash may be faster than his Injustice counterpart, but we don't have enough to say for sure. But Superman would be more annoyed than anything, considering how vocal and annoying Arkham Flash is. So he's probably gonna meet a brutal end, as we've seen in the story mode of Injustice 2 that Superman is capable of defeating the Flash of his world, who is way more durable and was able to do better against the Lanterns of his world, defeating both Hal Jordan and Sinestro and even phasing through Hal's constructs, while Arkham Flash was left bloodied and defeated by Arkham Green Lantern. And Arkham Flash seems to be way more inexperienced than Injustice Flash. And Arkham Flash has his own flaws that will prove fatal in this matchup, being that he's extremely overconfident and undisciplined by Arkham Batman's own statements. Even with the boost from Brainiac, all Injustice Superman needs to do is get his hands on Flash and the fight is over, which he could do by freezing the ground, causing Barry to lose traction and slip, or he could just take a few hits from Flash and then grab him while he's running and snap his neck, ending the Flash. And so far, Injustice Superman isn't having a hard time, but now he must face his fears. All of them. Arkham's Dark Knight is up now, and this one is actually pretty interesting considering one question in particular. Does his fear toxin cripple or even have an effect against Injustice Superman? Because if it's not laced with kryptonite, then it's not working on Kal. And then we have to take Injustice Superman's own personal history with Batman into account, as he's fought a war against his Batman for over 5 years. And during that time, it would be insane to think that he didn't learn Batman's tricks and tactics, and in my own personal opinion, Injustice Batman outclasses Arkham Batman, and might actually be a different version of Arkham Batman due to certain similarities in the first game, but that's for a different video. But if the fear toxin doesn't have kryptonite in it, then Batman is going out like Shazam did. But let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Let's say that it does. Well, then it probably won't really last all that long. And when the Joker exposed him to it, the effect wore off as soon as Batman got to orbit. And I do think that Superman would get enraged and completely level the Batcave. And once he'd find Batman, he'd beat him to death like he did to Green Arrow. Or he'd end him like he did to the Joker. But now we arrive at the final member of the mind-controlled Justice League. Now we have Superman v Superman, and now this is probably the most interesting, but thanks to the Injustice comics, we see that Injustice Superman has the edge, with him having beaten characters like Doomsday, most of the Green Lantern Corps, some of the Greek gods and Amazons, and in the first game we see him defeating Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Hal Jordan Green Lantern, along with quickly killing Shazam. And in the Injustice 2 game, we see that he's crushed the helm of Dr. Fate, killing Nabu, defeated Brainiac, Supergirl, Flash, and Green Lantern. And depending on which character you pick, he's also beaten Batman in kryptonite-powered armor. And Injustice Superman has also fought another version of Superman, and even though he lost, he's definitely improved since then and has the experience which could give him a much needed edge. Meanwhile, all we really know about Arkham Superman is that he survived a nuke, killed Arkham Wonder Woman, defeated the Sinestro Corps alongside the other Justice League members, can go to the sun and back in roughly around 4 seconds or so, and has gotten stronger thanks to Brainiac, has a resistance to kryptonite and potentially stronger heat vision. But that's just not enough to overcome Injustice Superman, who's definitely not the kind to play around, and is hardened by 5 years of war, ruthless in his fighting, and is a lot smarter than Arkham Superman in my opinion, who has the same fatal flaw that Flash did, which is to gloat and trash talk, which this would be a huge opening for Injustice Superman, who only needs one slip up before he gets the upper hand and snaps Arkham Superman's neck, killing him. Now, this fight wouldn't be easy at all and would probably leave Injustice Superman exhausted but satisfied, and be seen as a hero by the Arkham-Verse, especially by Arkham Lois Lane. So in conclusion, I see Injustice Superman surviving, and even if you say, what about Brainiac? Well, since he turns into Flash, it would end up the same way it did for Flash, only more quickly, and if we put him against Wonder Woman, it might be a bit challenging, but Injustice Supes has fought and beaten other Wonder Women, and Arkham Wonder Woman hasn't shown anything that would put her on equal footing with those versions, and she'd die. But honestly, I don't even think that Arkham Diana would fight Injustice Superman. If anything, she'd probably try to help him. But that's just my opinion in theory on the matter. So comment down below, what do you think would happen? And as always, I hope you have a great day today, and God bless you all. Peace.